Fair use act, fair use act, fair use act, fair use act, fair use act.
Occupying Syria, and Syria is now begging the United Nations to please do something about it. Syrian journalist, the United States is illegally occupying Syria, and Syria is now begging the United Nations to please do something about it. Syrian journalist Kavor Galmasian joins us to discuss. So thank you for joining me. Can you remind our audience how and why the United States is even there in the first place before we get to this bit of news?
Thank you very much for having me. It's a great pleasure to be on your show always, like always. Actually, the United States interference in Syria goes back to the 80s and the 70s. They tried to do the coup d'etats in Syria multiple times during the 80s by supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, but most famously because during the era of social media that everybody is speaking about the Syrian case, it started in 2011. They tried to overthrow the government through proxies, and most of them were radical Islamists. So if you believe that the attacks on 9/11 were carried out by Al-Qaeda, if you believe so, the United States was directly supporting these jihadists on the ground in Syria in order to occupy certain areas, and these areas were rich of fuel, oil, and gas fields. And the proof and evidence for that is in 2012, the Defense Intelligence Agency of the United States, they prepared an investigation and a report, and they sent it to Barack Obama when he was a president, and they warned him that the active forces on the ground in Syria who are fighting against President Assad and the Syrian army are the Al-Qaeda affiliates. And they specifically mention eastern part of Syria, which means in Deir ez-Zor and on the borders with Iraq. And they say the Iraqi...
Are you talking about al-Nusra?
Yeah,
here?
yes, yes. Yeah. And the report specifies and says that the Iraqi branch of Al-Qaeda, they are active on the borders and they are infiltrating the borders, and they're also supporting the Syrian branch of Al-Qaeda there. So whether when the American side wants to send weapons and ammunition, they're going to end up in the hands of these terrorists. And these terrorists, they occupied the oil and gas fields for a very long time, since 2012 and 2013. And when the Syrian army launched a major military offensive against them, this was in 2018 with the support of Russia and Iran, and they pushed back the ISIS terrorists because Al-Qaeda later, they had a split between Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The leaders were fighting, so there was a split, and ISIS occupied these areas in 2015. The Syrian army managed to push back ISIS from the deserts, and when the Americans saw that the Syrian and the Russian and the Iranian side, they were going to crush ISIS, they have created a new force on the ground called Syrian Democratic Forces. The Syrian Democratic Forces are mostly YPG and the PKK forces, and they're around 60,000 fighters. And these fighters, they managed to occupy the oil and gas fields on the eastern shore of the Euphrates. If you allow me, I will show the map of control over Syria, and I will, just for the audience to know how the Syrian geography looks like today. This is the entire Syrian geography. The red one is controlled by the Syrian army, and the yellow one is controlled by the American forces, and also this green side is occupied by the American forces. If we zoom in just a little bit, we will see that all these areas are full of gas and oil fields, and those are the areas that the American forces are stationed, and they are looting the oil of Syria. Actually, they are extracting it, and then they are sending it to Iraq, and from Iraq it is going to other countries. And the United States is basically also financing its stay in Syria through the revenues of the oil fields. But most also famously, this area, the green area, is also occupied by the United States because the US forces, they want to block any trade route and trade activity between Syria and its neighboring countries. This is the most important border crossing of Syria to do trade with Jordan and Iraq. And as you can see, the United States is blocking Syria not to do business in its neighboring countries through this border crossing, and also looting and occupying the oil fields on the eastern shore of the Euphrates, where it is clear on this yellow side.
Right. In fact, Stephen Gowans, in his great book, Washington's Long War on Syria, says that Syria comparatively doesn't have as much oil as its neighbors. So that's like a perk for the United States. What they really are interested in is blocking Arab nationalism. And in fact, they've been doing this since Bashar al-Assad's father, Hafez al-Assad, was in power. So that is not new. Would you agree with that?
Actually, that's one of the reasons why the United States has been targeting Syria. It's the pan-Arabism of Syria, which is a model of uniting the Arabic countries, not on ethnic lines, but rather on the interest lines. And what is the interest of the Arabic countries is to have a sovereign countries, is to have economic integration, and also to liberate their natural resources, to keep it for themselves. And this was the project also by Jamal Abdel Nasser, Hafez al-Assad, and later also Libyan leader Gaddafi, President Bashar al-Assad, and you can see all these leaders were targeted.
And Saddam Hussein also
So
was interested.
the problem with Saddam Hussein was that he came to power in the late 70s and early 80s with the support of the CIA, so that he fights against I would say Iran. But later, when he felt that he has a big power in the region, because he considered this war as a victory for himself, he started to go against the American interest, and that's when the Americans intervened and they tried to crush Saddam Hussein at the beginning of the 90s, when he invaded especially Kuwait. Although the American ambassador in Iraq back then, she told Saddam that they're not going to do anything if Saddam invades Kuwait. So basically they trapped him to go into Kuwait, and when he invaded Kuwait, the Americans came and bombed him in Iraq. I want to just mention one thing, if you allow me.
It's not a good story of friendship.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would just mention one more thing. Dana Stroll, she is the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for the Middle East now under the Biden administration. 2 years ago, she has a famous statements in a panel about the Syrian war. She says, the United States owns, in her own words, the United States owns 1/3 of Syria, and the United States owns Syria's carbohydrates, and the United States owns Syria's food basket. And she says this.
Okay.
She literally mentions these words, and she says the United States owns these carbohydrates and the food basket of Syria in order to have a leverage over the outcome of the Syrian war in a way that it serves the interests of the United States. They do not mention.
Well, that's news to me as an American. Didn't know that. Can my passport take me there?
Actually, if you want to go to Syria now as a journalist, as an American journalist or any foreign journalist, if you have friendly opinions about the United States forces in Syria, they would allow you to go near even the oil fields where the American forces are located, and then you are forced, of course, according to an agreement with the U.S. Defense Ministry, to post tweets on X and say that the Americans are, quote, guarding the Syrian oil fields in order to block ISIS from having an access to the fuel of Syria. But let me remind everyone what ISIS did with the Syrian oil. ISIS stole the Syrian oil with hundreds of barrels per day, probably thousands, and they were these tankers, they were taking the fuel of Syria. They were marching to Turkey, and their satellite imagery for that, with thousands of them marching to Turkey, which is a NATO country, and the son of Erdogan, Bilal, Erdogan's son Bilal, he was the person in charge of getting the oil and giving the revenues to ISIS. So ISIS became a state, and they were just an organization, but then they declared themselves as a state because they had an economic independence. And that happened thanks to a NATO country. And let's remember that the United States has one of the biggest military bases outside the United States. It's in Turkey, it's in Incirlik. And this was happening all under the watch. And the satellite imagery of the United States, they did nothing. And then when the Russians intervened, the first thing they did, they cut this lifeline of ISIS, which was taking the oil of Syria to Turkey and getting back dollars. But what happened afterwards? The United States just replaced ISIS with something called the Syrian Democratic Forces. So it's still the same, just the looters are different now, and the revenues of this oil aren't going to the people's benefit in Syria. And Syria estimates the losses over $100 billion. $100 billion, you can reconstruct half the damage that happened to the cities and the governorates of Syria in the past 12 years.
Yes, well, let's...
So now we don't have, this is beyond, we've proved our case. without what? A reasonable doubt. That's right. We leave you nothing to think about, to find out. You want to know who the wicked is? You're looking at him. Self-proclaimed white man. He's the cancer of the world. And he is the cancer. He is the son of perdition, whom the Lord is coming to destroy. That's right. The Lord is coming to remove him, because the Lord created him specifically to do what he's doing right now. Okay, he is the wicked. Job 9:24. He said, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. It said, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first. The falling away first starting from what? 68 to 70 AD, when we lost our heritage. And when during the time of what? The Roman besieging Jerusalem, we were spread across the quad. Majority of us went to the interiors of Africa. That's right. And then some part of Europe and all over the world. And then from there, from interiors of Africa to the slave ships. That's right. This is what? The falling away first. And that man of sin be revealed. That's right. You're looking at the son of perdition. It's Esau, Edom is being revealed. Whom the Lord is going to, the son of perdition, the son of perdition. It says here, who opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God. He says he is the son of the Most High. He is the Most High. You don't need the Lord anymore. Do as thou will. That's right. He is the one telling you. That's why he gave you sweet baby Jesus. That's why that's Esau, Edom. He says all that is worship. That's why you have to worship him. Hey, didn't he give you Jesus? That's right. In the continent of Africa, everywhere you go, you have this huge image of sweet baby Jesus. Hey? He says, so that he, as the Most High, sitteth in the temple of the Most High, showing himself that he is God. He already told you. He says AI is going to be your God. He says so-called Jesus. Now he's coming out saying, telling you that Jesus don't exist. That's right. The son of perdition is Esau, Edom. Again, let's bring out a quick verse here. Job 20 verse 4. Job 20 verse 4 says what? Knowest not thou not this of old, family, since man was placed upon the earth. And it says here that the triumphing of the wicked, which is Esau, Edom, is short. That's right. The Lord only gave him just a short period of time to rule. And the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. He's openly stealing people's resources. This is what this vagabond, these devils have been doing all over the world. But nobody was able to call them on it. But now, guess what? The Lord is removing the veil. Everybody now knows that Esau, Edom, self-proclaimed white man, is the cancer of the world. And Yahawashi is coming to destroy him. Before I bring this lesson out, yes, I got a little excited there. Before I bring this lesson out, let's give honor and glory to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that gives us the strength to do this work. That's right. And we lift up the name of our King, his only begotten Son. This is his gospel. This is not my gospel. That's right. Yahawashi's gospel is not about, it's not woke gospel. No, it's about the truth. That's right. The real truth. The real gospel, the way it's supposed to be preached. That's why when he came in the flesh, guess what? He was hated. He was chased out of the synagogue. They tried to stone him. That's right. Because what? They didn't believe, number one. And they said, why is this guy constantly cutting us? Because what? He came to do the will of his father, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and he knows that that particular word is not going to register with everybody. So majority of the nations of Israel and the rest of this, they're going to hate him. And then eventually, that also came to fruition. Yes, he was crucified, but it's all part of the movie. So you, the hopeful elect, I say shalom to you, starting with the 144,000. The hopeful 144,000, the next rulers, and the large multitude, whom the Lord is going to have mercy on. They are known as the elect. Family, all praise, honor, and glory to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahawah. Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Let's give double honors to our head apostles from the great millstone that taught us this truth. And salutation again. Peace to all the brothers day in and day out. You know what? Pushing this gospel because what? This is the last days. And so they are on fire for who? For Yahawashi. We are on fire for Yahawashi because Yahawashi already told him. He said he doesn't like a lukewarm. Lukewarm, that means what? You are either hot, you're not neither hot or neither cold. He's going to spill you out of his mouth. This is the last days. We are going all out for Yahawashi. Lord willing. Lord willing. We just ask that you give us the strength and his spirit will always be upon us to bring this thing out. Curse Esau out. Tell Esau that he's going into captivity. all the wickedness that they've been doing around the world. Yeah, you wonder why Trump said, let's bring that article out. And Trump said what? He says what? America is going to hell. They haven't seen anything yet. Because of all the wickedness that they've been doing all over the world. Stealing resources, destroying nations, creating coup, and destabilizing nations. These are the devil. Revelation 6 tells you, the red horse is speaking about the same people. Esau, Edom, self-proclaimed white men. The pale horse is the same person. The red horse is what? To take peace from the earth. Whose blessing was the sword? And since he had that sword, and he has over 850 army bases around the world, you ask yourself, if you are really honest with yourself, ask yourself, who has been going around the world destroying, pillaging, raping, stealing? How was America established? Go back and check the history. Who were living on the land before they took it over? If you are honest with yourself, who has taken peace away from the earth? Esau, Edom, self-proclaimed white men. He said here, now Trump is coming out and saying America is going to hell. America is already in hell. America is hell. Okay, America is hell. All right? It says US is going to hell, Trump. The 2024 election will be the most important in American history. The ex-presidency, there might not be election. The way things are going, oh no, there might be a civil war. But if this election, again, goes the other way, it goes to the right, meaning to the Republicans, oh, you know, family, they're going to be war. They're going to be war. Because the nations are divided. Then the people, America is divided. It's not the United States, it's divided states. That's right, it is divided. And the Lord told us what? And what is it called? It says, a kingdom divided against itself can never stand. How can Satan be divided against himself? His kingdom is not going to stand. How can Satan? That's the kingdom. America is nothing but Sodom and Gomorrah. All over again, family, there's nothing new under the sun. America is spiritually what? Sodom and Egypt. Bondage and LGBTQ. That's right. That is America. Slavery and LBG. Whatever your heart desire. Family, again, you see a cat on the street. You are interested, you chase that cat. You can have sex with that cat. Family, there's no punishment. There are states that you can actually sleep with an animal. That's right. And these are the people ruling over us. It says here, former U.S. President Donald Trump has said America is in rapid decline, and re-electing him will give the country a last chance to turn things around. Our country's going to hell. Our country's going down, Trump told journalist Megyn Kelly in an interview for the Sirius XM satellite radio station Air on Thursday. The U.S. has one last chance, which makes the presidential vote in 2024 the most important election we've ever had. He claimed, family, I won't be surprised if next year is our last time on this side. That's right. I won't be surprised. And that's how close we are. Okay, and Lord willing, oh family, it's the end of this year, family. I hope it's the end of this year. I hope so, man. I hope so. Because the U.S. has one last chance, which makes the presidential vote in 2024 the most important election we've ever had, he claimed. The former leader acknowledged that he said the same about victorious presidential race of 2016, but insisted that the next year's vote will be even more crucial. No. Because what? All the stealing, the pillaging, the raping, and destroying nations. No. This is it for you. America will never, ever rise again. We're telling you. America, when Yahawashi shows up, is going to be the lake of fire. He's going to turn from east to the west coast, to the north to the south coast. Where is Peter? Peter, come on. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens, this is 2 Peter, fam, these are not my words. He said the heavens shall pass away with great noise. What are the noise? There's missiles from all these nations shooting it at America. And the elements, everything from your Yale universities, from all these institutions, Harvard, all your building, the White House, family, all the elements, it says here, shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. LGBTQ. Everything is going to be destroyed. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? Speaking to you, the elect. Because the Lord don't care about the rest of the nation. They're going to be fuel for the fire that is coming. If you're living on the soul of America, oh, you better get a ticket and get out. You know, I'm telling you, I'm not saying the elect. Elect, you have to stay put. Okay, don't flee. This is not a flee doctrine. It's the Lord, the Yahawashi, is going to gather all the elect. It doesn't matter where you are. I'm talking about the rest of the nation that don't family that have somewhere else to go other than America. Okay, let me clarify that again. I'm not saying that go buy a ticket and flee. No, 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 no. Your job is to wait on the Lord, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, because I know our people are very simple. I heard this guy said you should flee from America. No, no, no. The elect, you're doing the things that are pleasing to the Lord, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. You are expecting mercy. That's right. The Lord is going to deliver you. Okay, the Lord, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi is going to deliver you. It doesn't matter where you are, whether it's on the soul of America. Before the missiles hit, the Lord is going to deliver you. It said, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of our power, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. But us, it said, nevertheless, we who? The elect, we, the elect, nevertheless, we, the elect, according to his promise, look for a new heavens and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness. The Lord will come in to pass over his elect. He's bringing fire to destroy this place, and then we're going to come down in our angelic form and take over the planet. That is what is coming. So family, let's get the next article. Where is it? Where is it? Did we finish this year? It says here, our country is going bad and our country is being destroyed under the Biden administration. It doesn't matter whether Biden, whether Obama, whether family, America was just created to bring us here to be punished, and then the Lord will come and destroy this place because the land is defiled by the blood. And it says the land can be cleansed by, the land has to be cleansed by the blood of those that shed it. Roughly paraphrasing. Yes, the saints' blood was shed on this land here, and the Lord is bringing fire to cleanse the land. And then the fire, the blood of those, which is going to be American, the Edomites. That's right. The Lord is going to use their blood to cleanse the land. That's right. You see? It says here, our country is going bad. Our country is being destroyed under the Biden administration. He insisted, adding, we are a nation in serious decline, and I think I can turn it around very fast. Trump, unfortunately, I'm telling you through the spirit and power and the truth of Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Trump, you are a model, you are just a man. You have no power. The breath in your mouth, you don't own it. It goes, it belongs to the Lord Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. You are just a vessel he created to bring down confusion and bring down this nation. That's it. You have no power. You are playing your part. You're giving false hope to everybody, thinking America is going to be healed through you. No, we're telling you otherwise, that America is finished. I have a great attitude. It doesn't affect me at all because I am fighting for the country. I am fighting for the people. The Republican candidate replied. Let's go to the book of, it says in the book, it says the angel said, go to the book of, is it 51:7? Please bear with me. Let me see if I can find it this way. Babylon. Let's go to Jeremiah 51:9. Actually, let me do the blue letter so I can get a different version of it. Let's go blue letter. What's the blue letter? Blue letter. And Jeremiah 51. Oh, come on. What's going on here? Jeremiah 51:9. Verse 9. It says here, Babylon have been a golden cup. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon, America, aka Bosra, aka Assyria, and spiritual Egypt, spiritual Sodom. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Drunken from what? Their philosophies and their democracy. Yeah. Democracy that they push all over the world. Okay. It says here, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. It says howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the sky. With that, I'll say shalom. Okay, fam, this is going to be was supposed to be a quick hit, and then all praises, honor, and glory to the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rawchaa, Qadash. Shalom, beloved. Shalom.